Hey everyone, welcome again to More Layers. I am Seth Mariano.
I am Jordan Smith, and welcome to, I believe this is episode 31.
I believe so.
All right, so that's what episode we're on now. The way things work on a regular basis with each episode is that we have a central topic of discussion, and underneath that central topic, we have a series of questions we ask each other. Then, when we are done with that, we go into game time where we usually, for example, quiz each other on something or just some other fun little game type thing. I did struggle to come up with one this week. I will say that. But when we're done there, our last section is news that bites and news that rocks. News that bites is a story, whether it be like local news, international news, whatever have you, or even something in your personal life, or our personal life rather, that maybe wasn't that good. But then we end on a high note by doing news that rocks, which goes the other way, and we each talk about something good that happened.
And so this time around, the big topic is one that's probably especially relevant to all of you, most all of you, or a lot of you probably technology.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more prominent than it used to be.
Yeah. And I had just a few questions, three that I came up with. And the first is, how has technology made life easier?
And there's definitely quite a few things. And usually, when I talk about technology with people, one of the first things they say usually revolves around entertainment.
Yeah, I said something similar at the top of the stuff that I wrote under that. I said newer creativity and entertainment,
Right.
e.g., or pretty much means example, 3D movies. And
Yeah.
I don't know how prevalent it is nowadays, but I guess, you know, when I was a lot or a little bit younger, it seemed like more prevalent to do that in movie theaters. I think probably my favorite movie going experience of a 3D film was when I saw Spy Kids 3D Game Over,
Now,
which,
when you say 3D movie, do you mean like 3D glasses type 3D or
yes, yes.
non 2D animation type 3D?
Oh, well, this is a film where you wear glasses and it looks like things are coming out at the screen.
Right. And 3D glasses used to look a lot different. I don't know how many people would remember this, but 3D glasses usually, at least in the past, had two different colored lenses, one red, one blue. And depending on the movie, it might even be themed based on the movie you're seeing. That happened for me once because the 3D movie I saw in theaters, and keep in mind I was young when I saw it, was Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Which
And
is also by the same director.
yep, Robert Rodriguez. And the 3D glasses they had were the red and blue lenses, but they had lava themed ones and shark themed ones because of the movie.
I never saw that one in a theater, but I did see it on DVD though. But the Spy Kids movie though, that one I think sticks out because there were so many of those like come out at you effects going on that really made it especially fun to watch in the theater. I've seen maybe a couple or so other 3D films that didn't necessarily do the same thing, but had a three-dimensional sort of technology to them, like the Jim Carrey A Christmas Carol, or right now that's the only other example I can think of right now.
Yeah, I can't think of too many full on 3D movies that I've seen in 3D. I think
Well, the Toy
when,
Story double feature, just thought of
right,
that one,
right, there's that.
and
It was
Phantom Menace.
either Avengers Infinity War or Avengers Endgame that I saw in IMAX 3D with a friend. and there was definitely a lot going on there. There was one. I don't think it was a full-on movie. I think it was at some attraction amusement park type thing. I want to say it might have been Universal or someplace. But have you ever been in a 4D movie?
Um,
Or,
I
or do
don't,
you?
not that I can think of, but I have seen like 3D video based park attractions like at Disney's Epcot. There used to be a Honey I Shrunk the Kids thing called Honey I Shrunk the Audience.
That's the
And
one I was about to
then
talk about.
oh yeah, so you went to that? Yeah. Do you like have a particular memory of that?
I do a little bit because that was one of those 4D movies. And if anybody doesn't know what a 4D movie is, it's when you're watching a 3D film or short, whatever, but you're usually interacting with it in some way. Like the seat you're sitting on will have features that make you feel like you're part of the story. Like I remember one where it was penguins in Antarctica or somewhere, and they had fans blowing fake snow at you and made you feel cold. But Honey I Shrunk the Audience, I don't remember everything. I do remember we had like mice on the screen and they had special cables underneath the chair to make you feel like mice were scrambling all over your feet. And then at the very end, a dog sneezed and the seat would spray you with water. Yeah, I think when I went to Universal this past year, there was at least one or two attractions where you were supposedly on a tour bus. I want to say it was for one of the like might have been King Kong. But the idea was every once in a while we'd go through a tropical rainforest or something, and there'd be a splash, and the vehicle itself would spray you with water from overhead.
So this was kind of like a backlot movie lot tram tour or something like that.
Something along that line. There was some 3D involved too, but it was kind of like a vehicle on a rail taking you on a specific route. So
Yeah, I might have seen that in like their advertising. Like maybe they had like a little Jurassic Park thing at one point.
yeah, I think they still have that.
Oh,
They
yeah,
have
yeah.
one.
Well,
They have one for Despicable Me. They had one for Shrek, and they had Farquaad as a ghost.
okay. And so and I had another bullet point below that. I
Hmm.
said on-demand entertainment with many options and recommendations as another thing that's made life easier. I think like for probably the first several years that people like yourself and myself grew up, it it wasn't quite that easy probably to find something to watch that we might be interested in. Or nowadays, you've got multiple streaming platforms that you can easily look up titles you might fondly remember or whatever, but they also have like trending or hot topic titles or ones they recommend to everybody like on the homepage or something.
Right, yeah. I mean, even Netflix at one point wasn't even a streaming service. It was like a DVD
The DVD
delivery.
rental, yeah.
Yeah. And there are still services that do that. I think Redbox. But I remember growing up, we would, I don't know if they still do this. Maybe they do, and we just don't use it anymore. But there used to be papers that would include a TV guide of sorts. So you know what's going to be airing on TV in the next week or so. But at the same time, if there was a movie that you liked that was airing on TV, then you could take an empty cassette and record it on the cassette so you can play it back again later. And I remember, I think we did that for Disney's Hercules when that aired once before we got an actual cassette for it.
Yeah, I think we did pretty much the same thing like back in the day for like a couple of Disney films when they ran on ABC,
Yep.
and blank cassette was pretty much that's pretty much how I got to see a lot of SpongeBob because growing up necessarily I didn't really have cable television, except for like maybe the first couple days we lived in our current house because the former owners had it.
Okay.
But other than that, our access was, you could probably argue, rather limited because we didn't have cable because we didn't, I guess, have the budget for it or whatever.
Right.
Next bullet point I wrote was, one other way technology has made life easier is, well, communicating. We have, this is probably obvious to all of you out there. We've got email and
Mm-hmm.
instant message texting, and that's probably one obvious one. And then scheduling. I have a calendar app that I use pretty much every day to keep track of the important stuff or whatever I want to remember for the day ahead.
Yep. Setting off alarms at certain times for certain things if need be.
And this is probably a more obvious example. One way it's made life easier, navigation. I don't really use this probably as often as I used to when I worked my first job, but I have relied on it to know how to get to schools around the district that I'm not familiar with or I'm not familiar with the routes to. I've used a maps app to do that. Uh, it's certainly convenient for me to be able to see or at least hear where I gotta go, where I gotta turn.
Right. Like I don't know if like anybody should fully rely on a GPS style tech app, whatever. Like it's still to have a good sense of direction or have a physical map on you in case like you lose signal or for some reason the GPS doesn't work. But it's still good to have, especially for longer trips.
Yeah, and then the more obvious one, I said technology has made life easier. Learning. This is probably the most obvious, but just like that, uh, faster than you probably can think. You've got all sorts of information right there in your hand or in front of your face or whatever.
And there's several programs designed in specific ways to help people that learn in specific ways to really understand various material. I know when I was in school, there were programs to help people with their overall typing accuracy, their typing speed. And I got pretty good at it after a while because of the way they taught it. So that's one example right there.
Yeah, I do read a lot of news headlines on the internet, and that's how I come up with probably maybe 90% of the stuff that I do for news that bites and news that rocks.
Right.
Yeah. And then I wrote for the next question, what are the most legitimate concerns that people have today about technology?
Now, one that I wrote down for because I actually have seen this quite a bit while working is in-person communication can drop significantly. Like as I'm working and I'm bussing tables or whatever have you, I've seen multiple instances where one person or everybody, but more often than not, it's one person that's on their phone and the other is kind of sitting awkwardly in silence as if they want to talk to the other person, but they don't because they're on their phone. So that's definitely one common thing that I see people concerned with. Another big one is that it can be used to invade someone's privacy in multiple ways. And as security for someone's privacy gets more creative, so do the ways to bypass and counter it. Then I also wrote how, like a lot of cars now, they have an exceptional amount of technology involved, usually with like touch screens or ways to play movies, built-in GPSs, what have you, which can be good, but at the same time, if it's right in the driver's face, it can distract them, which could lead to a dangerous accident.
Yeah, it looks like car companies have been cracking down on that. I've seen a couple or so commercials advertising vehicles with special technological features that alert about lane departures or collision warnings and things like that to try to minimize the odds of those things happening, at least.
Okay, so that's at least one step in the right direction.
Yeah, the first one that I put for that question, the most legitimate concerns, is not something that I honestly probably strongly or personally feel, but something I feel like a lot of people would say, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's I said the personalization of multiple websites isolates users more than it connects them together, and it seems to lead to arrogant and very closed-minded thinking.
Yeah, that can definitely be a very serious problem. There are some cases where certain websites or what have you can still connect people together, especially if it's centered around a common interest. So there's that. But yeah, in most cases, it can divide people more than connect them, especially on some social media platforms when political topics are involved.
I think of sites like, well, particularly YouTube and then Facebook that like pretty much what you see when you're logged into your account, when you're on your page, it's pretty much much content. Whatever you see is based on what the website knows about you, your interests, and such.
Right.
And it'll and like with YouTube, they'll have like a whole bunch of recommendations on the homepage, pretty much to say, hey, we know you've been clicking this stuff. Thought you might like this.
Or you watch this channel, people who watch that particular one also watch this channel. Maybe you want to see that one.
And it's been described as a sort of part of an algorithm that the website is based on to keep people as engaged as possible to keep selling big advertising.
Right. So yeah, YouTube definitely does has its problems, but let's say there's a big name YouTuber like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, or somebody uh, that has a big following, like a big fan base. Many people will get together in one room at a convention together just to see him or her, whoever it is. So that's at least a plus, but it also can depend on what convention it is and where it's located.
Yeah, yeah. And this is one I think I might see a little. This is probably a complaint a lot of people have that I'd probably agree with, and it's the idea of people saying things online that they'd never say in person.
Yeah, that is definitely a prominent thing, especially when you can leave comments on other people's posts or videos, what have you, where they will often get away with saying a lot more nasty things because they can remain anonymous. Nobody has any idea who they are. So they will use that to their advantage when they're being mean to people. But one thing I will say, there is a guy on TikTok that actually I think it's several people that go under one name, but the page itself and refers to the character is the Great Londini, who spends their time identifying people like that try to stay anonymous when they say nasty things and reports them to that person's local authorities or parents or whoever if they need to. So there are at least people out there putting in an effort to try and stop them.
It sounds good that they're doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess nowadays, if you want to really get an idea of somebody's integrity or who they are, you can just look at their social media history or their timeline or whatever, and you may not get the full picture, but maybe enough.
Yeah, and I often think to myself, especially when it comes to posting on social media, never post something on the internet that you wouldn't want on the front page of a newspaper.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah.
And then, kind of on a higher note, there's the question I have here of how can technology be made more beneficial than harmful?
And I had a couple ideas for that.
Yeah.
For one, I thought maybe they can develop more safety measures for various equipment, especially if young kids can get their hands on it. Because there are some things that maybe adults can use responsibly, but kids will not have an idea of how something works, or maybe they just want to mess around with it when they don't realize that they shouldn't. So, depending on what it is, they could develop different safety precautions just in case kids do get their hands on whatever it is.
You probably wouldn't leave a gun on an open shelf, so why be like that with tech, right?
Well, most people don't leave a gun out in the open, but you'd be surprised how some people will still do that for some reason.
I imagine some do that.
Yeah. And the other thing I wrote was that there are a few people out there, such as YouTubers, that have jobs that often involve using technology with a screen. So maybe one thing that could help is developing or further developing, if they already exist, some programs that'll allow for less strain on the eyes.
And I had just one thing under how can tech be more beneficial than harmful,
Okay.
and this is based on what I've heard in a podcast discussion related to social media, limiting the profits that businesses can make on social networks. One thing that they said in that discussion was, that how commercial the social media industry really is, how commercial it is pretty much at its core. And well, and the way it works is, or the way it's designed is there's this algorithm that finds out as much as possible about the user, and based on like what they put in their profile or whatever they can find out, and they pick content based on that information so companies can sell and make money, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's definitely something they do. And oftentimes, even if you're not on a social network or social media site, app, what have you, it can still, I guess, do something with your search history because I could look up something that I'm interested in, like an upcoming game, film, CD album, what have you. And then the social media outlet will pick up on that because then it will be advertisements centered around those things just popping up on the side as I'm scrolling.
Well, that can be scary.
It can, yes.
Yeah. So those are the questions I had for that. Jordan mentioned toward the beginning of this that he struggled to come up with a quiz, so I'm guessing he didn't come up with one in the end.
Yeah, usually I try to come up with one that is kind of themed around our central topic, and this one was a little bit difficult, so unfortunately I do not have one this week.
No, that's okay, and don't limit yourself too much. It doesn't have to be related to the topic. If you can come up with something good, that's welcome.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I did come up with one and made it all up myself. It's what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you a description of a plot or a storyline from an episode of a TV series, and you try and guess the show.
Okay. Depending
Yeah.
on the show or whatever, I might be able to get it, but we'll see.
All right, we'll see. So my first one is characters get abducted by a pirate who then tries to eat them.
Characters getting abducted by a pirate who tries to eat them?
Yeah.
Is this a live action thing or an animated one?
This is animated.
Okay, what animated show has a pirate that wants to eat people? Animated show with a pirate that wants to eat people. I feel like I should know this, but I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about the Flying Dutchman.
Right. The Flying Dutchman abducts SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward and tries to eat them later.
And there's one alternate ending of that episode where he actually does eat them.
Yeah, that alternate ending, I don't remember. I do remember, like, I guess the regular episode, but not that.
Well, the DVD I have for that episode, which I believe is called Shanghai,
Yep.
it has 3 different endings depending on who the Flying Dutchman selects to get the last wish. Squidward, when he gets it, he asks, like, he wishes that SpongeBob and Patrick had never, like, he'd never met them before in his life, which he implied that he'd probably never wanted to actually see them again and they wouldn't know who he is. But the Dutchman took his wish at face value and just made it like they'd never met before. So SpongeBob and Patrick immediately start talking to him, greeting him, introducing themselves as if they just met. Patrick's wish, he just wished for a stick of gum or two, saying, if we're going to be here for a while, might as well have fresh breath. And I believe that's when the Dutchman then. No. In Squidward's wish is when the Dutchman eats them. And while they're in their stomach, you can hear SpongeBob and Patrick say, "So who are you? I'm Squidward. I'm your neighbor." So yeah, that happens. Patrick's wish was for gum, and I think he still eats them. I don't remember for sure. But then SpongeBob's wish, which I believe is the one that usually airs, he wishes the Dutchman to be vegetarian, and then they get turned into fruit.
Right, yes. Okay. All right, how about this one? In a flashback scene, a couple is on a dinner and movie date in an apartment when the family of one of them and a priest show up.
Wait, say that one again?
All right. In a flashback scene, a couple is on a dinner and movie date in an apartment when the family of one of them and a priest show up.
A family and a priest. So on a dinner / movie
Dinner
date
and movie date
in an apartment. One of their families and a priest shows up.
Yeah, and this is a famous sitcom.
See, it sounds like something out of a sitcom. From what decade?
Like 90s, 2000s.
Okay. My first initial thought was Friends.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did, which is funny because I actually watched that a lot more than I did watch Friends.
Oh yeah, me too.
I should definitely go back and watch that show again. That was a fun one.
All right, I got another one here. A boy and girl fall asleep in their school's AV room, and when other kids draw the wrong conclusion, the boy goes along with it to look cool.
Okay, let's see. They were in their school's what?
AV room.
They were in their school's AV room. People got the wrong idea.
Yeah, and this is another sitcom. It's on Disney Plus currently. It was a 90s show.
Was it like a Disney Channel sitcom or?
ABC.
I'm not entirely certain. It sounds familiar.
Boy Meets World.
Oh, okay. You see, I hadn't seen that one. I only know that there's a character on that show named Tapango because there was someone I knew in college that went by the same name.
Right. That's all right. So yes, so that episode, Corey, Matthews, and Topanga were working on a video project, like late at night or something. They fell asleep, and people assumed they were intimate, and Corey went along with it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. I never really watched that much of it. I've just been recently watching a little bit of it on Disney Plus.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. All right. All right. This one might be tricky. During a competition at a tech conference, a part owner of one of the competing companies is punched, and in response, the judges automatically put them in the final round to avoid legal conflict.
Okay, so start from the beginning on that one. I just want to make sure I get all the info.
All right. During a competition at a tech conference, a
Mhm.
part owner of a company competing in it gets punched. And this is an HBO show, recent comedy.
See, recent HBO shows. So I don't have HBO, so I'll have to think about this.
Yeah, yeah. It's also the name of a California area known for tech,
Berkeley?
Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll admit that was tricky.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right. All right. Maybe you'll know this one. A monster threatens a group of kids in a classroom, and one of them tries unsuccessfully to stop it with a slingshot.
A monster in a classroom?
Yes.
A monster in a classroom. Tries to stop it with a slingshot.
Yeah. This is a hit Netflix series.
All right, I haven't seen too much on Netflix before, but let's see. Monster in a classroom. Is this something that recently came out on Netflix, or is it older?
It's like a few years old.
Okay.
Yeah, they just completed. The last season they completed was the third one. They're going into a fourth.
I'm not really sure.
Stranger Things.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a scene in the season one finale. With the kids, it's, fighting the Demigorgon, trying to get him away. One guy tries to hit him with a slingshot. It doesn't work, and lights are going on and off.
Yeah, I never actually watched Stranger Things. Like, if someone else were to watch it, cool, but it was just one of
Yeah.
those things I never saw. I know about the Demogorgon, and I even have an idea of what it looks like, but yeah, I never saw the show.
Yeah, I think anyone who like knows their 80s culture will probably find it entertaining because a lot of it is said to pay a lot of homage to the entertainment in that period.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. All right, here's another one. A kid takes over for a friend as a mascot for a school basketball game, but the cheerleaders have no idea. The replacement mascot's show-offy behavior ticks off the cheer captain, who hits or shoves him at one point, but he entertains people in the crowd, though.
Okay, so a guy who takes over as mascot is very show-offy.
Yeah, gets hit or shoved by the cheer captain at one point.
So is this like a high school setting?
Yeah.
See, my first thought was High School Musical, but I don't think that ever happens.
Now, there is a Disney Plus original High School Musical series, but this isn't what we're looking for, though.
Does Victorious take place in a high school?
Yeah, I guess so.
No,
No.
it's probably not that one then.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
Yeah, this was a Judd Apatow produced series. Yeah, it was Freaks and Geeks.
okay, yeah, that one I don't know much about
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, all right. All right. All right, how about this one? A man believed to possibly be the dad of the show's female lead is smothered to death in his hospital bed by someone else who is also believed to be possibly the woman's dad.
So wait, are these the possible daughters or
The possible dads of the woman.
so wait, there was a woman that got smothered?
No. One of the possible dads was smothered.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the possible dads got smothered.
Yeah, and this got a post Super Bowl slot after Super Bowl 49 when the Patriots beat the Seahawks. It's a popular drama on NBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a show that's still going?
As far as I know.
Okay, that probably rules out Criminal Minds then. Is it a show like that though, or it's like a investigation type show?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. There's Criminal Minds, there's NCIS.
Well, this is NBC.
Okay, I don't always remember what shows on what station. Cold Case wrapped up a long time ago. Supernatural is already done. What else is
It's
there?
the Blacklist. The Blacklist.
Okay. Yeah, my next guess was CSI, but it's Blacklist. Okay.
Yeah. Right. All right. All right, here's one. A girl momentarily loses her balance after overexerting herself during a visit to the gym with her family.
I don't even know where to begin on that one.
Yeah. This is a classic sitcom, 80s and 90s.
Okay. My first guess was Full House, but that doesn't sound right.
Yes.
It is Full House?
Oh, yeah. It was like in the middle of the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next one. After the flashbacks in this series are done, it is revealed that the wife of one of the leading men has been dead for a while. So one of the male lead's wives has been dead for a while. They've wrapped up the flashbacks, which run throughout.
This sounds like How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. That show had a very, very controversial ending. A lot of people didn't like it, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, now they've got a follow-up series that they said they weren't going to do, and then they said they weren't, but now they're actually doing it, called How I Met Your Father. And I don't know how many people will actually watch it, but
Oh, and Hilary Duff is going to be in it. She's like the lead.
oh, good for her.
Yeah. All right. I got just one more.
Okay.
One more. All right. Some characters accidentally eat cookies that contain marijuana and then they get high.
They accidentally eat cookies that have marijuana. Like, I doubt that'd be an animated film or
Now,
show.
this is a medical drama. I'm currently on ABC.
Let's see, there's The Good Doctor. What other medical shows are there? There's quite a few. I don't remember if Grey's Anatomy is still going or not.
That's what it is. It's Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, is that still going?
Yeah, it still is.
Okay, because I remember being young and it was airing, but I guess it's still popular enough that they're carrying on with it.
I think I heard it at one point. It surpassed like an ER's record for longest continuous medical drama or something.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
right, so I got a few towards the end.
you got 3. Not bad.
Yay.
All right, and so now all that's left to do is news that bites and news that rocks, which Jordan explained what that is earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so, have you got something that bites today?
Yeah, I couldn't think of too much, at least in my personal life. So I went with just the fact that the war in Ukraine is still going on. And I won't go in too much detail because I've already talked about it a little bit. And I'm sure most people at least have a general idea of what's going on there. So,
Okay. I have one thing that bites. It was something that I'd heard was possible to happen when local sports was talking about it, but it has been confirmed that it is going to happen. It's been decided, and that Bills wide receiver Cole Beasley is leaving the team.
now I'm assuming this is news that bites because he was
Yeah.
a good player.
Yes. Yes. At least to me, I feel like he was. I feel like he's lately been one of the strongest links in the franchise, along with guys like Josh Allen and Devin Singletary and Stephon Diggs and Tre'Davious White. I think he's been one of their best, and it's a bit of a disappointment, but I think still as it is, with or without him, I guess they'll be okay. All right, and you got something that rocks?
I do. And this is a personal thing. It's not like international news or anything, but where we live, I don't necessarily have a lot of family nearby. Most people have moved out of state, so it's rare that we get to see people, but there are some, and I won't say who for the sake of their privacy, that they will be visiting in the next month or two for at least a few days. So it will be very nice to see them considering I haven't in such a long time.
Yeah, well, that's good. We've got someone, I won't say who it is, in our family who will also be here soon.
Okay.
Well, that's not my thing that rocks, though. I decided to go with today. There's been a new addition to the family. My cousin,
Mhm.
he and his wife have just had their first baby the other day.
Oh, congratulations to them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they've been posting about that, and yeah, they do seem. Yeah, it does sound like they're proud, and I'm I'm definitely supportive of that.
Oh, absolutely. Was it a healthy delivery? Like no troubles during the process?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the delivery details, and I probably shouldn't anyway, but
Well,
it does seem like things went well, and
okay.
it's a healthy kid, and I think everything went well.
Okay, good. That's the most
Yeah,
important thing.
yeah, and yeah. So that's all I've got, and
Yep.
I guess that's all we've got for today.
Hmm.
And we will be back soon, possibly next week if we can.
Sure.
And enjoy all of our episodes on Facebook, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, and YouTube. And um, send us any questions, comments, and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and if you have any topic ideas that you want discussed in the future, whether it be something that's based on what's going on right now, or something that will happen in the near future, or just any topic ideas you may have, send them our way and it might become something we talk about on the show.
Yeah, well, enjoy the series, and we'll be back with more hopefully soon. And until then, we'll see you and take care.
See you hopefully next week, everyone.